Sorry. We're good.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Up here.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming. My name is Ernest Heimseth, and I'm one of the organizers of TRUtalks, which is what we're all here for today. So TRUtalks, it's a science outreach event where once a month we try to get scientists in various fields to just come and just talk science and have a discussion on a particular topic with the community. Anybody here. Just by a show of hands, is anybody in science right now? Science consider themselves? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so let's have a discussion. And so the idea here is to just kind of just break down either myths about a certain topic or just kind of get a ball going about, whatever. So I'm kind of reiterating and rambling here, but that's the idea of TRUtalks. So today we have Joan Chang, who's actually one of our founding members of TRUtalks. So she's actually visiting from across the pond, and it's really a pleasure for her to come. And so here she's going to talk about her ongoing work. It's actually kind of builds on the work that she's done in the past. So a little housekeeping things. TRUtalks is brought to you by AACB, which is American Society for Cell Biology. It's an international forum for cell biology. It's about 9,000 members strong, and it's made up of scientists. And one of the things is to push our knowledge of science and cell biology forward. A subcommittee of AACB is called COMPASS. It's a committee for postdocs and graduate students, and I'd especially like to thank them for providing us funding for us to have this here through an outreach grant that that has been awarded to us. I'd also like to thank TRUDelhi for giving us a space and the venue to host TRUtalks. So without further ado, here's Joan Chang talking to us about going into the matrix, the extracellular matrix. Okay, cool.
You just started me out.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming, and thank you, Ernest, for actually letting me give a talk. So, as the title says, I'm going to talk to you about going into the matrix, or alternatively, how I actually learned why we're not just blobs of cells floating around, or rather slamming around like blobfish. Like I said, like Ernest said before, I'd like to thank the SCB as a contest for the outreach grant for the continuation of this TRUtalk series. It's been a fantastic experience, and yeah. So, that's my beard. So, just an introduction slide about myself. So, I am from Hong Kong originally, and I went to Imperial College London in the UK for my undergrad. I also started my PhD at the Institute of Cancer Research, which is also in London. But halfway through my PhD, my supervisor moved to Denmark, so I relocated with her, where I spent almost 3 years at the University of Copenhagen. And after that, I came here to UNC Chapel Hill for about 18 months. And it has been a fantastic experience. And after that, about 6 months ago, I relocated back to the UK, where I'm currently working at the University of Manchester, again as a postdoc. But as I would think of it in terms of my science career, I started off with working with breast cancer, in particular understanding how to inhibit metastasis or rather spread of cancer. And as you can see, I was interested in a molecule called LOXL2, lysooxidase 2, whereby if you have inhibition of this molecule, you have a significant decrease in the lung metastasis of the breast cancer cells. So this is kind of my theme when I was in the UK, but then as soon as I moved to Copenhagen, I started getting more interested into the signaling part. So basically this is how cells communicate with one another and also with its environment. So I wanted to know how the cancer cells actually receive this cue and in order to invade into a different tissue. And after that, when I moved to UNC, I was interested in understanding how adipocytes, or rather fat cells, are involved in mediating tumor progression. So here I made a mouse with fluorescence green fat, And as you can see here, the green here is the Adam's tissue, and the blue in the middle is the tumor mass. So as the tumor grows, it actually incorporates adipocytes into its core. And it's a little bit too small for you to see here, but these adipocytes actually start losing its morphology and becoming a different cell type. And this it's very interesting ongoing work. I'm hoping that my boss, who has really been into UVA, will continue on this topic. But yeah, keep our fingers crossed. And after that, moving on to my current lab, I'm interested in understanding the matrix of the cells. And although these projects might seem very different, there's always an underlying theme that connects everything, and that is the matrix. So I am interested in the matrix. Nevertheless, when I talk about the matrix, I don't mean the movie, and also I don't mean anything that's to do with maths or physics. I mean, there's a physics side of it, but it's nothing to do with like these two things. The matrix I am interested in is the matrix of biology. So, about 4 billion years ago, life begins on Earth, and 3.5 billion years ago, there starts to have unicellular life, and it wasn't until relatively recent, so about 1 billion years ago, there is evolution of multicellular organisms and also tissues, and this actually requires the evolution of extracellular matrix. And as humans, we're mostly matrix. So when we start off as embryos, about 80% of the mass is actually cells, and only 20% is extracellular matrix. But as we progress and grow to an adult human, actually 80% of the body is matrix, and 20% are cells. So basically, if we don't have this matrix, we'll literally be a pool of cells, like on the floor. And in a way, you can think about it as almost like scaffolding for buildings, where you need to have a structure for the support. So the way you hold yourself, everything is to do with the tensile strength of the extracellular matrix. So matrix component is mainly composed of 3 different types of molecules. The first one is the structural proteins. So these are the collagen fibers and elastins. So these are the tensile strength. So these provide you with the support that you need. And the second group is the polysaccharide complexes. So these are predominantly proteoglycans that actually act as a embedding molecule for the fibers to actually attach to. And the final group of ECM, or extracellular matrix proteins, is known as the adhesive glycoproteins. So these actually allows the cells themselves to interact with the fibrils and structural proteins, and these consist of fibronectin and also laminin. What I'm interested in particular is the collagen, and that is the reason for this is because it's a major component of the ECM. So about 60 to 90% of all ECM molecules, depending on what kind of animal you are collagen fibers. So as you can see here, this is the tendon, and the cell is on here, and all of these different sized kind of cable-like structures, they're all collagen fibrils. And one interesting thing about collagen is that it's almost like a Lego block. So it's a basic building block for different types of tissue, and this includes cornea, tendons, skin, any type of tensile, like things that needs tensile strength is actually built off collagen. And there is actually 28 different types of collagen, and they form this a very different groups of macromolecules, and this includes like network formation, fibrils, like I said, and also transmembrane, which will be involved in mediating cell communication with its neighbors and also with the environment they're in. And so basically what I'm interested in is what happens when things go wrong. So when there's a system failure, when calling goes wrong, there are different types of genetic disorders. So there's only 3 examples of a vast amount of different genetic disorders. So the first one is osteogenesis imperfecta. So this is basically known as the brittle bone syndrome, where Like you can see on the rightmost side, the joint and the growing formation is completely also screwed up. And interestingly, these patients also have a blue tinted, like the white of the eyes are bluish. The second one is a Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so essentially hypermobility. And this can be, like, it might seem very harmless, but actually if you have hypermobility, you're actually very prone to injury. And the third one, like third example I have here is epidermolysis bullosa. So it's basically where the skin actually gets damaged really easily. So in this case, the baby has to be wrapped up, and she can't actually have normal contact with the other human beings, because if you touch her, then she's likely going to like bleed because the skin is completely malformed. And in addition to these different types of genetic diseases, the collagen malfunctioning is also involved in a lot of different disease states. And the classical example would be fibrosis. So here I'm showing a liver fibrosis or cirrhosis, whereby it's literally the scarring of the liver because of overproduction of collagen. So, and another classical example would be cancer, and in this case, this is actually pancreatic cancer. And the reason why I highlight this specific type of cancer is because it has, it's known to be a very hard to treat cancer because they have overproduction of ECM molecules that surrounds the cancer cells, and so this makes it very hard for the drugs to penetrate into the pancreatic cancer, and this actually presents as a very important issue for medicine to tackle. Pancreatic, yeah. And so it's a very difficult cancer to treat due to the excessive and also very strong ECM shell that they're encased in. And furthermore, ECM is also involved in metastasis or spread of cancer cells. So there are many cases whereby the cancer cells can actually prime the metastatic regions with fibronectin and then allow the cancer cells to go into that organ and specifically go into those sites where it's primed for them to arrive and start proliferating again. So collagen biosynthesis it's been known for a very long time. So it's like the earliest studies are conducted or rather reports are reported in the 1970s and 1980s, and essentially it's made within the cell in the compartment, and they form a triple helical molecule, and which then is known as form this like something known as procollagen. And as it's being secreted out into the cell, this procollagen would then be lysed on both ends of the protein, and then they start assembling with one another to form these collagen fibrils as indicated here. And one interesting thing about this collagen fibril is that it's a very large molecule, and surprisingly, the deposition of these collagen fibrils is actually through these things known as fibrils. So if you imagine the cell is trying to secrete a very large molecule, so what they do is they start assembling these megastructures, and then they start pushing it out, but then they still have the entering point within the cell. And if you see the longitudinal sections of an embryonic tendon, you can see that these structures are, from this end, they start getting pushed out by the cells, and then they get assembled into the existing collagen fibril. And interestingly, these fibropositors are only exist in the embryonic tendons. So I should have got a pointer. Let me see how to do this. Yeah, so there we go. So if you can see here, these are all fibrils, and these are basically cables that are coming into like a zap thing. And if you follow these individual dots along their cable, at the end they are all embedded within the cell. And you can see here, for example, in this case, there is a single fibrositor that's actually being secreted, like the process being secreted, and once of it is out, they will start assembling with these other fibrils. But as soon as the mouse is born, we no longer see these kind of fibropositors. So they instead become this mega cable-like structure, and so it's basically mechanism, like this kind of secretion mechanism is only observed in an embryonic state.
So these large ones are...
These ones forming together. Yeah, so these are actually known as D3 fibrils because of the size, and then the smaller ones are like D2 and then D1. So there are different types of collagen fibrils. They're all like megastructures, but the D3s are the thickest, and then followed by D2 and then D1.
Is that a random process that you get big or small? Are they different compositions?
They are not different compositions, but it's basically what we actually do not know the process. Like we can't really see how the D3 fibrils are being formed. But one hypothesis is like the D1 and D2 actually it's kind of like a three-step process. So you have the D1 and D2 being developed during an embryonic state, and then they start coming together into these D3 megastructures. But it's an interesting thing because like they do have the same component, but I'll mention this in a later stage where there's a really big difference between the D1 and the D3s.
So these are in a tendon, are these, is it like this throughout the whole body, or is it just in tendons?
That's a good structure. I mean, for these collagen fibrils, they are a structural support. So this is only seen in tendons, and because all the other structures, such as the cornea, they actually have a very different. So there are different types of collagen, and so they will form a different network. But in turn, I mean, this is the model mechanism we're interested in because it's like a megastructure and trying to understand. And also collagen cross-linking is another thing that is very important. So I think, yeah, it's slightly different, but the basic mechanism, because collagen is such a big molecule, that the secretion and also turnover of it in our hypothesis should be quite similar, but we could be proven wrong. But what I find most interesting about these super megastructures is that it's actually quite permanent. So this is a study that was published back in 2014, I believe, and what they're looking at is using the fact that back in the 60s there are extensive nuclear bomb testing, because a lot of C14 is a radioactive carbon that is in the atmosphere. So what you can see on the left here is the black line is the average of the carbon-14 of the atmosphere, present in the atmosphere. And I'm going to see after 1964, which is where the banning of nuclear testing happens, you get an exponential decrease throughout time. And interestingly, so these are all individual patients, or rather like donors, where they sampled their Achilles tendon and also skeletal muscle. So as you can see, all the Achilles tendon, depending on which year they're born, they all have high carbon-14 content, whereas compared to the skeletal muscle, there's almost none. So this suggests to us that the Achilles tendon has a very slow turnover rate. So they estimated from this study that the half-life of the collagen fibril is actually over 200 years. And perhaps...
These are survivors of a nuclear bomb?
No, they're not survivors of a nuclear bomb. It's more like because they have nuclear testing. So in the areas where they perform the nuclear bomb testing, there's higher levels of carbon-14. So it's not, they're not like the survivors of the nuclear bomb. And perhaps more interestingly, so this line, dotted line on the right here, is the average of the carbon-14 of the, so I'm going to explain this a bit clearer. So these are the average of the preceding 17 years after the birth year. And as you can see, these samples are actually falling into this curve quite nicely. So what this suggests to us is actually the incorporation of the carbon-14 into the Achilles tendon happens basically within 0 to 17 years after they're born. So what it means is that as soon as you hit 17 years old, or rather around that time, your tendons actually stop developing. So in this case, collagen fibrils within the tendon is a very permanent structure, and adult turnover is very, very limited. However, this presents to us a very conundrum, because we know that if we stop certain molecules that we know processes collagen, you actually have a tendon stiffness. So this doesn't explain why, this doesn't fit with the hypothesis that if the fibrils have a very slow turnover, by inhibiting the enzymes that are involved in cross-linking them, will have any effect on tendon stiffness. And also, we know that collagen is continuously synthesized in the tendon cells. So if the turnover is not there, if the turnover is really slow, why is it still being produced, and where do they go? So our lab noticed that there is a population of smaller fibrils, so these are D1 fibrils. They're narrow in diameter, so about 30-40 nanometers, as opposed to in the hundreds. And as you can see here, we sampled a mouse Achilles tendon at 9 a.m., so this is when they're starting to go to sleep, because they're nocturnal animals. We see a different distribution of smaller fibrils as opposed to 9 p.m. when they're very active. So this suggests to us that there is actually a very small population of within the tendon that's constantly turned over. And obviously this is a 24-hour cycle, so that means that the circadian rhythm is probably in play. So the circadian rhythm, the brain basically gets light cues from the surrounding environment, and so this is known as a central clock. So this central clock will then communicate with other organs, which also has peripheral clock, as we call them, either directly or through the endocrine system. And these peripheral clock also has various different cues, so these might not be light-induced, but rather feeding or blood volume pumping and physical activity. These all have an effect on resetting the clock. Sorry,
you can tell I'm just want to ask a question. So that seems very interesting, but why? What's the evolutionary basis for that? It seems like a huge waste of energy to make these fibrils that increase and then decrease at a 24-hour period.
So what was the evolutionary basis of why they have these production of the fibrils?
Because it seems like a waste of energy.
So it's not really a waste of energy. I will be mentioning our hypothesis on this at a later slide. But essentially, we think that it's something to do with repair. So because during the wake cycle, the animals are active, and in order for it to preserve the megastructures, the D3 really, really thick fibrils, they need to have a repair system going on. But then repairing a D3, so a very thick fibril, is a lot harder than repairing something that's smaller. So that is I don't think it's a waste of energy in that sense, because it's actually actively trying to protect the structure that will never be turned over. So this also happens in humans. So this is a human sample at 4 a.m. when they're sleeping, whereas 4 p.m. when they're awake. As you can see very clearly between the two different pictures, there are a lot more smaller fibrils that are active, that appeared within the tendon. And so what the hypothesis in our lab is that these smaller fibrils actually act as a lubricant. So they exist around the thick fibers, and they are the ones that are actually trying to reduce the damage to these thick fibrils, and so they get constantly turned over at a 24-hour period. However, if we look at the building blocks, so the basic building blocks of these fibers, the expression level actually, so the way they're produced actually doesn't change over time. So this leads to us to hypothesize that instead of controlling it at a production stage, what we're controlling is actually secretion. So instead of controlling it, stopping and starting the production, which is actually more energy demanding, we're controlling it at the different secretory pathway. So we're controlling how it's being deposited by cells into the environment. And so this leads to the current hypothesis, which is we're still working on it. So at 9 p.m. the new collagen is being secreted, forming new fibrils, and then once they're active, so this is actually based on a human cycle, you have new fibrils being degraded, and there might be collagen uptake, we're not quite sure, and then it will just be a cycling within 24 hours. And there is we have some evidence that collagen uptake does happen. And so this is a model that we're currently using. So we have these cells, the fibrils, which are specialized cells that produce collagen. What we've done here is we tagged the collagen with a molecule, like a fluorescence molecule, which is green. And then we can shine a laser onto it, so this would then switch it into a red form of the same molecule. And so this way we can actually track which are new collagen that have been made by the cells. So in this case, we switch this area here. So this cell is actively secreting collagen. And what happens is, if you pay attention to this cell coming in, so these are all collagen that are being deposited. It actually eats up the collagen that is deposited there, and then it goes away again. So this kind of suggests to us that the collagen uptake does happen, and now it's just a case of we're trying to understand how the mechanism works, and also to apply this in a disease state and try and develop some new therapeutic against various different diseases.
Do you see a difference of the cycle with age?
Yes, actually that's a good point. So we do see a prolonging of the cycle and when you age. So in a normal cycle, let's say the normal cycle is 24 hours. As you age, your cycle actually becomes 27 hours or 30 hours, but the daylight doesn't change. So what happens is, whatever your cell is supposed to do in the last, let's say 4 hours or so, it's been cut off because you're essentially restarting the body clock before your repair is completed. And that is part of the reason why we think that there are so many more tendon-related illnesses in aged, I was going to say aged mice, but people who are getting old, they also have issues with their joints and So this actually is my last slide. So taking the message is that first of all, the extracellular matrix is key to normal cell function, and the majority of our stable collagen fibrils is actually very long-lived. However, there is a small population of collagen fibrils that are smaller in size, and they're constantly being turned over, and this is due to tissue regeneration, so we don't want the megastructures to be disrupted. And finally, we think that the circadian rhythm is actually involved in the daily regulation of the smaller collagen fibrils. So with that, I would like to thank my various labs, my lab in Copenhagen and Chapel Hill, and also current lab in Manchester, that's my PI where I'm very happy Santa Hat and Rudolph. And our funder is the Wellcome Trust and also SCB Compass. And thank you all for being here.
Go ahead.
Have you looked at whether if you exercise mice, they get better at renewing the collagen? Because there are data that says that people who do strong sports have better joints, have better, so I wanted to know if you see that at the cellular level.
I think we have done the exercising of the tendons in mice, but don't remember the data because it's been done by a previous person in the lab, but I would say that we don't really see like
You don't or you see?
we don't don't see a difference in terms of the daily turnover. So we don't see shortening because what we're interested in is the circadian rhythm, right? So exercising doesn't seem to reset the clock per se, but then I don't think we've ever quantified how many like smaller fibrils there are. So maybe there's actually more smaller fibrils in an exercise now, so therefore they have better lubrication.
Or even if it doesn't short, maybe it persists over age, you know?
Yeah, it could be.
That would be the desired effect, let's say.
Yeah, no, that could very well be like what's happening.
Do you think the immune function changes during, like in a similar pattern as the circadian rhythm, and that's how it's influencing the fibroblast secretion or uptake, or?
I do think the immune system has its own clock. So like if you get an infection, then yes, your body clock will definitely be reset. I can't say how the immune, so in this case, because we're interested in tendons, tendons are very, they're not really involved in the immune system unless you actually damage them. So, I don't know is the answer.
Kind of related to that, I guess two questions. One, you showed in your cell culture model that it was a fibroblast that was eating the collagen.
Yes.
In vivo, what kind of cells do you think would be devouring that dead collagen?
So actually it recently has been, there's a paper just published that's looking at endothelial cells, so like the cells that make blood vessels. And they show that for survival, when they're starved, they actually take up collagen that's been deposited by other cells as an energy source. So endothelial cells, so I think other cell types would probably do that as well because it is a source of protein for the cells to actually survive.
And related to that, kind of another immune function, I know it's not what you were talking about, but where there's collagen that's maybe being used to form like foreign body structure, like sarcoidosis or granuloma, do you think that there's a way to like break that down using what you know?
That's a tricky question because in those situations, so for example pancreatic cancer as well, because they're they are actually what we call as a megastructure. They're very cross-linked, very dense, and it's almost like, and I would say it's almost like the D3 fibrils that are present in the tendon. And I guess there are, and once they're cross-linked, it's very hard to get rid of them. But you can actually try and inhibit that process as it's developing. So yes, we can actually have a kind of preemptive treatment for sure, but whether or not we have an active kind of therapeutic against those types of collagen without damaging your normal bodily function, that is going to be a lot harder to tackle, I think.
So a lot of diseases have fibrosis as a really negative component. Do you visualize somehow stimulating the cells that come in that eat up excess collagen to be programmed maybe or treated with a drug to cause them to eat that fibrotic damage up and maybe help heal from some of those diseases?
So it would be nice if that could be done, but what we're also trying to understand is whether or not how the larger fibrils are taken up by the cells, because the turnover, even though D1 fibrils are smaller, they're still very, very big. So if we can actually understand how the cells take up those kind of structures and recycle them, then yes, we can definitely try and trigger that in the pre-existing fibrotic. Actually, going back to your point, sorry, I'm a bit jealous. I'm just a bit all over the place. But yes, so we could actually probably program as soon as we understand how the cells are uptaking the D1 fibrils, then we can probably try and stimulate the cells to eat up the fibrotic areas. So that would be very nice actually.
Does the disease-related fibrosis have the same kinetics of turnover as collagen, as tendon, or is that a very different process?
I don't think there's a high turnover. I think it's like fibrosis. The reason why it's happening is because the cell's constantly secreting collagen when it's not supposed to be secreting. And also there's like other molecules that are in there that are coming in to modify that collagen or elastin or laminins. So I think the turnover dynamics is probably similar to tendon in the sense that the half-life of those proteins in fibrosis is going to be a lot slower than a normal collagen deposition. So yeah, I think there's parallels between the two.
This is kind of a wacky question, but in regions of the world that have an altered light-dark cycle, so the very northern hemisphere, the very southern hemisphere, would people who live there have an altered collagen deposition timeline? And would that be a way to, go to the northern hemisphere in the winter and get stronger collagen?
Okay, the question is like, so if people who live in different light cycles, like for example in northern regions or Scandinavian regions, I'm guessing, whether you can change someone's body clock or collagen deposition by sending them up to the north. I think we can, because the circadian rhythm is very important and it's based on light, and that's the reason why a lot of Scandinavian people have sun lamps, because they need that kind of stimulation and in order for them to stop going to hibernation mode, basically. But I'm just trying to think, because if you prolong so it depends on whether the collagen, what kind of collagen is being deposited during the dark phase. So that is still something we're trying to understand. So maybe there will be more D1 fibrils because that is when it's been made and deposited and stimulated to be secreted. But in addition to collagen, there are also other ECM structures. So what we know right now, at the moment, we're trying to figure out is collagen 1. And then there's also 28 different types of collagen, and in addition to that, there's also the proteins are involved in modulating these collagens that we still need to look into. But I think maybe that's the reason why Scandinavian guys are taller.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, but Eskimos aren't, so there's evolution there.
So if you go to a different sleep dark cycle, what about sleep deprivation? So you're jet lagged. Is your collagen?
I'm going to be messed up, basically. Yeah, no, but that's true, because if you have so people who work night shifts, they're known to have, to be prone to many kind of different diseases, and that includes cancer. So every time you mess up your body clock, every time you travel, every time you go to a different time zone, you are effectively messing your body up, because it needs to readjust to the different lights, the different even temperature, because temperature can actually reset the clock. So yeah, basically, I guess the message is don't travel to coast.
Stay at home.
Sorry, easy question, but I probably missed this. Do D1 fibers kind of assemble to make D2 and D3, or do they have to be made beforehand?
So we do think that D1 actually does, well, at least at the embryonic stage, that's a hypothesis, maybe D1 and D2 may be formed together to make D3. But then once we're postnatal stage, so when we become adults, the D3, D1 and D2 don't turn into D3. So that's another mechanism that we need to figure out why it's not becoming D3, and maybe there's a way to make them into super strong fibrils.
And are D1s the easiest to clear out?
That will be a hypothesis.
Okay.
That is what we believe to be happening, and obviously we can only prove that by using something that can track the collagen secretion, and that's the reason why we're using that cell with the green collagen that can be switched.
And does not only the thickness but the organization of the bundled collagen fibers, does that influence the clearance or the further deposition? In a fibrotic stage, are they organized differently than say in the embryonic stage?
They will. So it depends on what you're comparing it to. So for example, in tendons, obviously it's going to be very, very structured. The fibrotic state is actually very messy.
Disorganized.
It's very, very disorganized, very messy, and it's different types of collagen, and they're trying to form into this bundle, and so it will be. I forgot your question.
Oh,
Sorry.
you answered it. You answered it.
Yes.
Just a quick question. So I think from what I understand what you said, so if you study fibrosis in the case of cancer, using cell culture is fine because it's disorganized. Yes, but like my question is like, can you use cell culture if like surgery on the clock seems to be at least what you're so important because your body needs to circulate.
No, so there's actually different ways of synchronizing the cells. So, for example, in our lab, you can synchronize using serum, like kind of like stimulation. So like I don't know, I have a slide.
So you can mimic
So-
the circadian clock.
You can. So like temperature jump is an example. So you just need to jump from cycle and from like 38 degrees to 36 degrees and to 38 degrees again for 3 days. Cells will be synchronized. They will all be, you know, you will see the clock proteins coming on and off like at the same time. It's shown. So like another thing would be serum stimulation, which is essentially feeding cells like tons of nutrients, and that will also cause them to start, you know, synchronizing according to like with one another. So we can do that in cell culture.
So you study collagen 1 in this context. Is it a common feature of all these other 20-something other collagens to be under control of the circadian rhythm? Or is it just the ones that are type 1 tendon collagens?
I would say there's a lot of things that are circadian controlled, and I would think that the different types, other different types of collagen are also circadian controlled. But then it might not be circadian, it might be a different tempo, so because there are like kind of micro clocks that are not necessarily 24 hours, for example. They might be longer, they might be shorter, they might be like kind of every 4 hours. We've seen that with some proteins that they come on and off like clockwork every 4 hours. And it can also be longer than 24 hours. So I think there's always going to be a regulation kind of clock that are implemented in these structural proteins. And obviously if you have injury, then that's basically kind of like resetting of the clock, because it's like a stimulus to the cells to say that, you know, now just restart the clock, so that you can actually produce all these proteins to repair the wound that you induced.
All right. I think we're going to call this a day.
Yeah.
Everybody, thanks for listening. All right, so thanks everybody for coming, and I hope to see you again next month when we have Jason Webb from Global Health who studies air. Wow, we sure. Okay, next month, Jason West, air pollution and climate change. So pretty hot topic right now. I hope you join us. I can't remember the date, but it's the last Monday of the month in April. Hope to see you there.
What is this stuff?
Let's go back to that.